It's Straight Outta Gotham, which was back a couple years back when Straight Outta Compton, the movie, came out. Everybody was making Straight Outta Compton parody videos, and that happens to be the best one, and appropriate because it's Straight Outta Gotham, because today's Batman Day. I couldn't play the actual song lyrics because, much like Straight Outta Compton, they are very, yes, they're very not safe for work, whatever you want to call it. Just not a good thing here. So, but hey, that's all right. We're here now. This is Dylan Lang, and this is my 5th anniversary. 5 years ago on this date, I'll just go with that. 5 years ago on this date, the September 15th, 2013, my first ever episode of Dylan Knows premiered. It was a short one. It was 58 minutes long, considering I've done close to 2 hours and 45 minutes before, which I think is my longest one. When I originally decided I wanted to do this show, I was going to try to make it be about an hour every week, but gradually things spiraled into a longer thing. But hey, that's okay. It works out, and I've got 2 viewers. Thank you all for watching my 5th anniversary episode. So how are we going to do this? Well, this is a double episode. Now, the reason why I'm doing a double episode, and I'll probably focus more on the 5th anniversary and the second part of the show. The reason I'm doing a 2-part episode is, and this is just more for my psychosis, as it were, and I lost 1 viewer. Oh, well. Anyway, 5 years, if you go an episode a week for 5 years, it's 260 weeks. So basically, I wanted to make sure that this episode, September 15th, 2018, my 5-year anniversary episode, would fall on episode 260, which to my frazzled mind, insane mind, whatever you want to call it, makes me believe that I did a show every week of the year for 5 years, which I know is not entirely true. There were some times where I did 2 episodes a weekend. There's some times where I did 0 episodes on a weekend. And this year just happened to coincide with the fact that I lost about 4 weeks during the year between last year, September 15th, and this year, September 15th. I lost about 4 weeks, vacation, holidays, whatever. Things happen. Things will probably continue to happen, but it's a clean slate for me right now because once I finish tonight's episodes, it'll be at 260, and I can just go on from there. So yes, I have been on the air for 5 years, and I will talk more about that later. But how a double episode works is, and I'm going to divide this up since let's go retro. I did my first episode was 58 minutes. The first episode, episode 259, is going to be about 58 minutes long, an hour long or whatever, just talking about a bunch of stuff. Yay, it's Patrick, and I bet Scott. So I got Patrick Smith and Scott, my two best viewers here watching. So thank you guys for watching. What did you say here, Patrick? Hanging out with Haladil on his 5th anniversary until Hurricane Florence kicks my power out. Stay safe there, Patrick. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I think, Scott, you're down there in that area as well, aren't you? So be safe, both you guys, and keep watching as long as you can. If you guys drop out, I won't take it personally. Anyway, so episode 259 will just be a regular episode. I'll be focusing a little bit on Batman Day, because today is also Batman Day, and some other news articles as well. And then I won't do all of them because I got to save some for the second episode. Then the second episode, which will be my official 5th anniversary episode, episode 260, which will be around 10:30-ish, I guess. That will be a discussion of my 5th anniversary about Saturday morning cartoons because, you know, for those who've been watching my show, you know, I do something where recently I've just done this for like the last month or so, where I go back and what stuff premiered on TV, movies, whatever, this week, how many years ago, we'll talk about it. So we got lots of Saturday morning cartoons and after-school cartoons all sort of debuted on this week, due primarily probably due to it being new season. Good. Scott's holding out as well. So Scott and Patrick, both of you guys in the South, we'll talk a little bit about the hurricane a little bit as well, and cover some stuff. I got a lot of stuff to talk about, so we'll cover as much as I can the first hour, and then we'll hit the second hour. So as always, since you guys have watched my double episodes live, we're going to do a similar thing again. At the 1 hour mark, I will switch out of my shirt and change a different shirt and get a different music play to bring me into the episode. However, unfortunately, I only had my one drink. I was going to have 2 drinks. So I bought 2 drinks, 2 energy drinks. I thought, you know what? That might be a little too much to do them, to down them back to back. Plus, the fact is my stomach's been all messed up anyway today. So I drank a bottle of water while I was setting up. I drank this while I was setting up the show. And so now I just have this. I'm just going to have the one drink. Maybe I can nurse it a little bit over 2 hours. We'll see. I usually do anyway, right? So let's start right now. We'll just get a little bit of electrolytes in myself here. And when we go, may as well start with something near and dear to both of your hearts, and also you guys who eventually be watching live as well, or on tape delay as well. The Hurricane Florence came in like a wrecking ball and hit the southern part of the United States, the North Carolina, South Carolina area, like a ram. I mean, it was a Category 4, I believe, which Category 5 is the heaviest one. Category 4 that hit the coast and eventually dissipated into dropped it down to like a tropical depression, tropical storm. But at the same time, it really doesn't matter because it's still strong storm, lots of wind, a lot of rain. And I've been hearing some stuff so far. I haven't caught up recently, but even if one person dies, and I think 2 people have passed away from this storm already, it's still a disaster. But if hopefully the damage totals are down and the death totals are down, and you guys weather it out as best you can. My cousin, who just moved down, her husband's in the Navy, and he has been at Camp Lejeune down there, and they just moved down there about 6 weeks ago. So they've just been getting acclimated, and then all of a sudden they had to evacuate. So my cousin and her family had to drive 10 plus hours up to New Jersey, Ocean City, New Jersey, of all places, which is where my cousin grew up, where my aunt lives. And so she went back home, and they are probably going to get hit with some stuff later in the week. Nothing obviously as bad as what you guys are getting right now. And up here in Maryland, earlier in the week, it looked like we were going to get it hit as well. I mean, you know how when you see the hurricanes out in the Atlantic, you can't tell which way they're going to go till you're like right on top of you. So yeah, around 11 now. Okay, so regardless, it's horrible, but let's hope that the death toll doesn't gather much bigger. So Scott says his power has been blinking off and on. You all can get through it, yeah. And then Scott also just said that the death toll appears to be around 11 right now, which is still, it's still kind of rough. So let's hope that it doesn't go any higher than that. But when you saw it out in the Atlantic, Patrick here says, came in like this. Let me see what this picture is. Oh, so damn, it's like a turtle. Okay, it came in really slow. Okay. Maybe I'm mistaken. I guess when I see when a hurricane comes and hits, it goes, it's boom, and then splatters all over you. But I guess that one was one of the things they said was going to happen, was going to slow down and dump like lots of rain on you guys. But that's what earlier in the week they didn't know which general direction was going to come. They thought it might heading up my way up in Maryland as well. So they canceled Dog Fest, which is a event that we do every year around this time as well, up at the Baltimore Animal Rescue Center near us, where they have they open up their massive fields for a dog fest. Basically, the dogs come, they have a parade, they have like a doggy gym type of thing, which is really cool. Lots of stuff the dogs can run around on. They've got doggy competitions. They got doggy painting. They have a giant swimming pool that dogs can swim in. They've got vendors that sell doggy stuff. Police officers bring their canine units in, and they show how they go after criminals and stuff like that. So it's a really neat event. And even though we don't have dogs, my kids love dogs, and people can bring their dogs, obviously. So you come to this place and you just see hundreds of dogs just everywhere, just having fun. There's contests, look-alike contests. skills contests, stuff like that. The swimming pool is really cool because you get to see them. It's a big one of those big giant circular swimming pools, and they go and they paddle around back and forth. They're in there for about, I guess, 5 minutes. They pay for about 5 minutes to go in there. There's also like sand pits and bubble pits and stuff like that for the dogs to play in, and all kinds of and then for the humans, they have food courts and stuff like that. And then the animal rescue center is open, so if you want to adopt, you can absolutely adopt as well. They're there. They got people on staff that, if you want to adopt a dog or cats, they do cats as well. You can do that as well at this animal rescue center. So it's really kind of event. So they were thinking, hey, this Saturday is going to be kind of rough with the way it looks like we might be getting hit with some rain or something like that. Let's cancel it, move it to, well, not cancel, let's move it to another time. So they moved to October 6th, about 2 weeks away from now. And then, of course, the storm heads further south. And we have actually a beautiful day today, actually. We had some clouds and some heat and humidity. But other than that, there was not any rain in sight. There was a little bit of dark sky later, a little around 5 o'clock today, but nothing came of it. And looking at the weather forecast, there really appears to be like no chance of rain till like Monday, Tuesday. And that's just going to be when the storm is finished with you guys down south, and it's going to head back up, and the remnants are going to get us. So we're not going to get, obviously, what you guys are getting. We're going to get some heavy rain, and we'll get some wind, but not nearly as much as you guys are getting. So you guys just be safe out there. The other funny story about the hurricane right now, and this has been making the rounds, it's gone viral, is the Weather Channel. Was it Weather Channel? It was Weather Channel, I think. Has they had one of their live broadcasters out there talking, in the middle of the hurricane, and he's like, it's like the wind is so howling that he's going, oh geez, it's blowing me everywhere. It's taking all my strength to hold on and not move and not go flying away, and it's really, really tough out here. So while that's being filmed, there's these two guys that just walk behind him, and they're not even bothered by it. So you can tell he's obviously, it's not as heavy as rain as this heavy wind as the announcer or the reporter is making it out to be, because these dudes are just walking like it's a normal day behind them on live television. So it's kind of funny. So it's viral now. You can probably see it anywhere. So just be careful out there, you guys. Last week, I talked about a sad story where the Rio, I think was it Brazil Museum burned down, that had, hundreds of years of history over it, and they've lost it all to this fire. It's a really rough and bad story. Well, after I did last week's episode, I checked my Facebook feed, stuff like that, see any upcoming stories and news, stuff like that. Got word that Myrtle Grove Plantation burned down, actually on Friday the 7th in South Carolina. Now, that is one of the plantations from the Civil War era, slavery era, that's historical. And it's while what happened there is not good, it's still historic, and it's now gone as well due to fire. So kind of a interesting story, I suppose. Speaking of fire, actually, may as well stick with this. See if I can connect that. Yeah, Massachusetts. There we go. Massachusetts, up in Boston, the Boston, Massachusetts area, has had a number of gas explosions which have damaged close to 60 to 100 homes. I don't think anybody's died from them, but their houses are damaged. I mean, badly. I mean, fire is not something you want to, not take lightly. It hit hard. So there was some stories up there, and it was like one of these things that people didn't really know what was happening and who was going to get hit. So it kind of freaked a lot of people out, but their houses got hit hard by this gas explosion, send them on fire. So that was kind of a upsetting thing as well. So a lot of bad stuff happening in the world, I guess. But if you want to keep living to 90, there's a new study out that drinking wine may actually help you live to be 90 years old. I guess, and I've heard that before, how wine is good for you due to, I suppose, not electrolytes, but like the sediments and the stuff in the winery process, which helps, infuse it with healthy vitamins. I'm not exactly sure how it goes. It all sounds to me like it's just an easy way to say, hey, drink wine all you want now because you can live forever. So, but wine is big, and wine is pretty good. I haven't had wine in a while. I think fall is more wine time anyway, with the holidays, stuff like that. But then there was something else. I got my notes all over the place. There was Urban Outfitters. I remember. I'll remember it if I can't find it here. Urban Outfitters, which I guess is one of these online type of places. They have come up with a interesting new type of device thing. It's not really a device so much as, and it's kind of funny to think about this also, but you've heard people write about this stuff. You've seen the pictures of women in bubble baths with the wine on the bathtub, after a hard day. They're relaxing with candles and a glass of wine. They're drinking that. Well, Urban Outfitters has created this this new device thing that you can put in your shower, which will hold a glass of wine. So you can have a glass of wine while you're showering. It's interesting. I think it's a neat idea. What does Patrick say about that? The gas explosions in Massachusetts was directly caused by Kurt Zellner's farts. Thanks, Kurt. Good one there, Patrick. I like that. That's funny. But so it's kind of interesting that they created that, and at the same time, it's like, why hasn't anybody created it before? It seems just like an idea that if there's so many people, there it is, shower wine glass holder at Urban Outfitters. It just seems like a really good idea, I guess, particularly if you like to have some wine. When the water down the wine, that's not cool. Well, no, I think the way they have it is, when, well, you might not have it, but I know we have it. You have your shower head, all right? So your shower head's pointed down this way, and then this way you have, like, some people have a dangly thing here, which puts your shampoo and conditioner, stuff like that. The wine thing goes over here. So unless you have a leak, I guess, up here, the water is coming out this way. It's not going down this way. I mean, unless maybe, as I said, it depends, I guess, on how old your shower head is. If it might come down this way, but it's hanging off of here, and the water's shooting off this way. So the water's going this way, and the wine is this way. So it should protect it from that. I wish I could remember. I wish I was a professional vlogger. I could just say, here, look at this picture, click, and then it'll pop up on the video, and there it is. I don't even know if I could find it again on Facebook. It's possible. And this is exactly what you want to see. You want to see me looking up shit on Facebook while we're talking. So I'll keep looking for that, see if I can find it. This was something that I missed last week and that I wanted to talk about last week, but I figured better late than never. Everybody knows Beetlejuice. I know Halloween's coming up. Beetlejuice is the movie that really got Tim Burton noticed. Pee-wee's Big Adventure was great, but Beetlejuice was the one that really got him into the zeitgeist, as it were, and people get to know him. And Michael Keaton did a fantastic job as Beetlejuice. Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis, Catherine O'Hara, all these people, fantastic cast. Winona Ryder. It was a great movie. It's one of my favorites, and my daughter likes it a lot. I watch it always around Halloween. Obviously, for obvious reasons, it's a Halloween-esque type of movie. But it's just one of those really fun, unique, interesting movies, and they've now turned it into a musical, which shouldn't surprise me since they're turning everything into musicals nowadays. So maybe I won't have it on here. But, if done properly, a Beetlejuice musical could be interesting. I mean, I guess if you want to stick with, maybe do it more kind of a reggae. Shit on Facebook, great band name. Yeah, it is, actually, it is. A sort of a reggae beat, because they listen to that type of reggae stuff. at their house, the Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin characters. I can't find it right now. It's weird. So I think it should be interesting to see. It's one of these things that you just kind of have to see what it looks like and how you can adjust the movie to a musical production. Now, there are some that plays that do a really, really good job. Spamalot did a really good job of turning Monty Python and the Holy Grail into a musical. What else? The Bodyguard, actually, which Dawn and I saw a couple years ago, they actually did a really, really good job of that as well, creating a really unique and interesting take on. I can't find it right now, but I think that's what it is, Scott. I think that it's one of those hanger things underneath, so that the water, unless I guess your shower head is leaking, would get it. Would maybe get it wet that way, but. So on and so forth. So Beetlejuice musical. I mean, it's up there with the better have both the Banana Boat song and Jump in the Line involved in it. That's what I'm saying. Maybe that's what they can do to make it a more of a unique experience. Because at the same time, they're also making musicals about musicians and using their music. Like Billy Joel has "Steppin' Out," which is a musical based on his music. So the songs they sing are Billy Joel songs. And The Bodyguard, which I just mentioned, even though it is based on the movie wasn't a musical. Yes, she was a pop star. Whitney's character was a pop star, but she only sang like that one song. And then, of course, the one everybody knows, "Always Love You," is another one that wasn't, I think, actually physically in the movie unless it ran over the end credits. They took that and took the main story of The Bodyguard and they threw in Whitney's greatest hits. So technically it was like a Whitney's greatest hits musical, like what Mamma Mia is for ABBA. So now, I think I talked about this a while ago, and this just bears repeating because it's actually, to me, is a fascinating idea. Huey Lewis and the News is doing a musical based on one of their songs, and I'm not sure which one it is yet, but he's right now been posting pictures of him in rehearsals right now, so it's going to be coming sooner than later. And it's one of those things is like, you know what, I think I kind of want to see it because I liked Huey Lewis's music, and I think it would be a really interesting musical to see if they can take one of their songs and base a whole play about it like they do with Mamma Mia and other stuff as well. It's showtime. That's right. I love it. That's why Beetlejuice rules. So there's that. So we'll see about that. So again, it'll be one of those things that you're going to have to wait and see when it appears, if it appears. I live in Baltimore, so we get the traveling shows all the time. We're getting Hamilton next year. We're getting Book of Mormon again next year also, which I'm going to try to get Dawn tickets to because she loves that musical for her birthday. So we've got some options. Now, Hamilton, that's funny. We both want to see Hamilton. My daughter wants to see Hamilton also. But as expected, I went on to see, hey, maybe they've posted some tickets. They haven't gone through the main at the Merrick. They haven't done that yet, but I went to some of the other ticket sites, and they're asking like $250 a ticket for like the cheap seats. And you go further down, it's like $550 a ticket for the good seats, something like that. So I'm like, I'll have to wait and see if they lower ticket prices a little bit, or if I was just at the wrong spot, and maybe when the Merrick goes and does theirs, or the Hippodrome is what they call it. Frank Merrick Hippodrome is what it is. The Hippodrome, when they do their ticket sales or they release, I might have to look at that. But right now, that's just. Now on the flip side, Book of Mormon actually is, for some of the really good seats, it's only around like a $150 to $200, which I can actually swing if it's just the two of us. And those are the good seats. The cheap seats you can get for $60, but they're the cheap seats and they're not great. But Hamilton, I'm not going to pay like $250 for cheap seats when I can pay $250 for Book of Mormon and get excellent seats. I get the idea. I get why they do it that way. They do it because the play is bigger than the other one. Hamilton is the biggest thing right now. So more people want to see it, so you can get more money for the tickets because more people pay it. Book of Mormon went through probably a similar phase when it first came out, but now it's been out for a while. Most people have seen it already, so now you can drop it down a little bit. People want to see it again, but you can drop the price down a little bit. So we'll see. That's going to be one of the things I'm going to get her for either our anniversary or birthday. Anniversary or Christmas rather. Anniversary might be better, because our anniversary is October 4th, and that's coming up soon. I can probably just pop in and get tickets and say, here you go, we're going to Book of Mormon sometime. I think it's April, I think is when Book of Mormon is. So that'll be good. So we'll see. Hundreds of gold coins, actual gold coins, like the actual gold, yay, treasure, gold coins, were found in an archaeological dig. That's like the reason why you become an archaeologist, is either find treasure or discover something that nobody's ever discovered before. Because I took an archaeology course in high school, and it is kind of boring. Okay. You saw Book of Mormon when it was in CLT, and it was amazing. Yes, it was, Dawn. We saw it when it first came to Baltimore a couple of years ago. I surprised her for her birthday or something like that, and we were on one of the sides because they were sold out. It was like the first time it had been through the area, and but we still got a good chance to see it, and she loved it so much that I bought her the CD of the musical, and she plays that at her work whenever she feels upset. She just pops into her and plays like that. So it's good like that. But archaeology it's interesting, it's fascinating, because you might find something cool, but when I took it, the way they had it, they set us up an archaeological dig at a place called Oregon Ridge, which is a historic type of place. It's been around for a while, so they have an actual area where they have all kinds of archaeological students come in and dig stuff, and they found pots and stuff like that before, which they put on display at their nature center over there. So this is just basically to show you what archaeologists do. So they dig in the dirt and they, clean off stuff and stuff like that. And it's kind of boring, and you got to have that certain spirit to keep doing it. It's not like it is in Raiders of the Lost Ark or Tomb Raider, where you're jumping everywhere and you're finding all these magnificent treasures and stuff like that. No, archaeology is a lot of time being spent on looking at shards of rock and pottery and saying, this is pretty cool, because we discovered something that's been here for hundreds of years, and here it is. And every once in a while, just like with this one, you might find the big enchilada, the gold coins, or the lost city of gold, or Tut's tomb, or something like that. And those are the big things where you're going to find that stuff. But if you decide you want to get in archaeology because of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you think that your life is going to be like that, it's not going to be like that. It's not. It's like people digging, paleontologists digging for fossils out in the wild. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You find some bones, but a lot of times you're just like, okay, this is a rib bone. Cool. But I mean, you have to have that passion for it. But this is the reason why, every once in a while, you never know. It's like the lottery. Something's going to have to happen eventually. Someone's going to have to win the lottery. Someone's going to have to find that missing city of gold, or those gold coins, or that underwater pirate ship filled with booty. You never know. Today, Batman Day. September 15th. I think it's always September 15th, or it's that Saturday. It's probably always September 15th, I think, because Check Eye Day, when I do the Check Eye Day later in the episode, it'll talk about, it says it's Batman Day. I don't be an archaeologist, I can wear a Lara Croft outfit. That's Scott Troutman. You can, Scott. It's just you're not going to be running through ancient temples, shooting at giant monkey statues that come to life, or trying to find the Holy Grail, or the Raiders or the Lost Ark of the Covenant. No, it's going to be a lot of, okay, let's go dig in this pit and dust stuff off. I'm not trying to, Patrick. Archaeology is boring. Well, okay, way to invalidate my minor in college. College minor, way to go. Oh, Patrick. As I said, you have to have the like you had, obviously, you had to have the need, the want, the excitement for it. I found it boring, and I'm also telling you, straight up. I mean, come on, truthfully, Patrick, are you going through lost temples and stuff like that? But I don't mean to invalidate anything that anybody chooses, so I apologize for that. I've stricken from the record that archaeology is boring. It is not. It's exciting and fun and historical. And I'm a history major, so without archaeologists, we don't have history. So hey, we have to work in some simpatico. Okay, you and me, man. We're like this, all right? Anyway, Batman Day. I think it's always September 15th. I'm not exactly sure why they picked September 15th, but this is kind of something that really hasn't been a thing until recently, I guess, because I don't remember Batman Day all that much earlier in my life, but maybe they just didn't celebrate it as much. And I'm kind of disappointed today. Not by Twitter and Facebook, which was great because I got to see lots of comic book artists and writers who I follow talking about Batman and their love for it. And a couple of the writers on Batman right now said, hey, I can't answer all your questions, but hey, if you have any questions about Batman you want to ask me, I can answer what I can. And then a lot of artists were showing their pictures of Batman, or they drew a Batman picture for today just to celebrate it. So when I say I was kind of disappointed, is that my comic book store sort of missed an opportunity. Now, I'm gonna back them this one time. My comic book store, I love my comic book store. I love the people who work there. And since they moved to the new building, which is literally right up the street from my house, literally I can go out here and I can walk to it in 5 minutes. Whereas it would take me 5 minutes to drive to its old location, and probably about 15 minutes to walk to it. Now it takes 2 minutes to drive there and 5 minutes to walk. Special info: Scott would look hot in a Lara Croft outfit. Yes, he would. Scott would look absolutely stunning and outstanding in a Lara Croft outfit. So, hey, Halloween costume. There you go, man. There you go. Bring out your inner Lara Croft. I like it. I like it. You like it, Patrick? I like it. Now, the guy who owns my comic book store, his name is Mark. He created and runs the Baltimore Comic-Con, which I've talked about on the show a number of times. I've talked about on my other show, The Comic Hall, a bunch of times. The Baltimore Comic-Con is, if you ask any big-time creators out there now doing comic books, writers, artists, whatever, what their top 5 conventions are, Baltimore is usually in their top 5. Obviously, you can get your San Diegos and your New Yorks, and I think the one down in North Carolina, everybody loves that one. Heroes, I guess, is that one. Heroes Con is a good one that everybody loves, and Dragon Con, I guess, that might be more science fiction and fantasy, but I know Heroes Con is a big one that they like, but Baltimore Con is a big favorite. And also, the guest list for Baltimore Comic-Con has been huge since its inception. I mean, we're talking about current popular artists and writers. They've also brought in people, the British artists and writers. They brought them in from Britain to come and do shows. They've had Stan Lee there before as the guest of honor. Frank Miller is the guest of honor for the 2nd year in a row, I think, doing this as well. And Baltimore Comic-Con has started to delve a little bit more into the media stuff. Now, the main reason why, and I'll get that in a second, the main reason why they are considered to be one of the top Baltimore cons is I think Mark does a really good job of accommodating writers and artists. We got plenty of hotels downtown. It's at our Baltimore Convention Center, and around the convention center, there's literally like 6 to 7 hotels. And I think Mark does a good job of getting things set up for that and helping get that things up there. Probably pays pretty well, gives them good seats. And Baltimore Comic-Con is more about the comics, So you go in, and it's a Comic-Con, as in have enough man boob to pull it off. So do I, man. So do I. You walk into the convention center, so you have the area where all the stores are, all the people who've bought tables that are selling their comic books, and their T-shirts and their action figures and everything you expect from a comic book con. They have a huge sale area. Then they have the whole giant artist alley area. It's right. They're all like right next to each other, and they're all together in one area, and it's wide enough. And there's so many of them that you have lots of people who are hugely popular and famous all together in one area. And then you have the indie guys who are trying to get found by Diamond and Marvel brass and DC brass, stuff like that, all along the way, so they can walk around and they can talk to scouts from the comic companies who are looking for new pencilers and writers and inkers and colorists and letters, and these people do their stuff as well. Now, they like it because the focus is more on the comic aspect of it, whereas San Diego has sort of become more of a pop culture convention, and like a New York Comic-Con is sort of the same way. I think Heroes Con and Baltimore Con are a lot alike, whereas their focus is more on the comic book aspect of it, and I think that's what draws most comic book artists to it, and writers as well, that they like the fact that they feel like they're the ones who are the most important. There are all kinds of what do you call those, sessions where they talk about upcoming books and stuff like that. There's lots of those as well. Now, recently, I guess to boost attendance, which hasn't been too bad, we've had over 100,000 people for the whole 3-day weekend. And we also have the, I think it's the Ringo Awards now, which is a new award that they've done for comics. The Eisners are done in San Diego, and that's like the Academy Awards, and the Ringo ones are like the Golden Globes. So we do that one here in Baltimore. So that's kind of, as you can see, why these companies like the Baltimore Comic-Con in that way. But this year they've really gone out of their way, and they've really gotten a lot more media people. Now, again, I think Mark is still going to keep the focus on the comic book people because they still have a huge collection of comic book artists and writers from all over doing stuff, and they're always going to come to Baltimore because they love it. They love the area. They love downtown because it's right there in the Inner Harbor, and they love it, and they love talking to the fans, and it's great, and they have an enjoyable time. But I think Mark is trying to just spread it out a little bit more to maybe get more people who might not be as interested in comics, but might be interested in other stuff as well. So this year they've got, I'm trying to remember everybody they got. I'm probably going to miss a few people, but they got Mike Coulter, who played Luke Cage on the Luke Cage Netflix series. He's going to be there. Will Wheaton's going to be there. Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks is going to be there. When I saw that, I was like, you know what? I might actually pay the $45 extra to get my photo with her, along with my attendance packages. That Aaron Gray from Buck Rogers and Silver Spoons is going to be there also. Who else is going to be there? Oh, I'm missing. Oh, Zachary Levi, who's playing Shazam in the new Shazam movie. He's going to be there also. I feel like I'm missing someone big. Those are the big ones I can think of off the top of my head right now. But if you go to Baltimore Comic-Con and you go to their website, you'll find everybody who is confirmed for the show. Not only the media people, but the comic book people as well. And it's a lot. So I was looking at it, and I was looking at the packages. I was like, I think that Sherilyn Fenn one might be up my alley because I really, really like Sherilyn Fenn. And I loved her in Twin Peaks, and it would be nice to maybe get a picture of us together. But again, it's $45 more that I don't need to spend, and I don't need to go if I don't have to. It's a fun convention. I go to it, and it's crowded, and I wear cosplay and stuff like that. But my family kind of wants to go also, and then unfortunately, I hate to say this, they don't really give me a chance to go and walk around the con and just do what I want to do and look at the books and stuff like that. They're all following me around, looking around at everything. But you also got to be careful because there's a ton of people there. A ton of people. So I recommend, if you have nothing better to do in 2 weeks, 28th, 29th, and 30th, right? Let's see, today is the 15th, so 14th to 29th. So 28th, 29th, and 30th of September is Baltimore Comic-Con. So if you want, come on up to the Baltimore Comic-Con. It's at the Baltimore Convention Center right there in the heart of the Inner Harbor. Can't miss it. Get a hotel room. We got plenty of them. Don't you worry. You're not going to be want for a hotel room, because Baltimore's idea of trying to draw more conventions to the convention centers to build more hotels. And we've had so many hotels that we've actually had a number change companies and go bankrupt and break, because they never had, we built big ones, I mean, huge tower ones, and they have not been filled. And so they're losing money. So there have been some that have just are lose. We have plenty of space. So if you want to come up for a long weekend, hey, come on to Baltimore Comic Con. It's, if you love comics, if you want to, hang out and meet some of these media people as well, just go to the website and check it out for yourself. It's well worth it. So my point about all this, you mean they're allowing Baltimore to use the Comic Con? And yeah, I know I talked about that last week or a couple weeks ago. As far as I know, I haven't heard anything. Mark is still calling it the Baltimore Comic Con. There hasn't been any people, any San Diego people threatening to sue them. So we'll see. As we get closer, maybe they'll do it as we get closer to it. But Patrick, you might not have heard that story. A couple weeks ago, I did a story where the San Diego Comic-Con people who created it, they sued the Salt Lake City Comic-Con for their use of the Comic-Con name, and they won their case. The judge sided with San Diego, saying that they could trademark the Comic-Con name, which I said is utter bullshit. And I went on a rant a couple weeks ago about it. So as of now, I haven't seen anything in the news, or Mark hasn't mentioned it, and it's still being called the Baltimore Comic-Con on its website, and on the Twitter page he's got and the Facebook page he's got, it's still the Baltimore Comic-Con. So, or maybe he's calling it the Baltimore Comic Convention and not, so he's doing the whole, so you really can't say, well, you're using that. No, you use Comic-Con. He's using Comic Convention. So maybe he's going around it that way. I'll have to follow up with that. I'm just going to call it Baltimore Comic-Con because that's what it always is to me. So if you have the time, come on up, get a hotel room. We've got plenty within walking distance of the convention center. Dress up in your best cosplay. We have contests. You might run into me or other people there, and it's a great time. And there's some really good cosplayers there too. I mean, some really good ones. And it's big enough that it's going to be able to accommodate everybody. So, and then Baltimore itself is beautiful if the temperature is fine. The Inner Harbor area is just absolutely a gorgeous area, and lots of places for you to go eat and explore as well. And have fun there. So it's highly recommended. But my point is, and I'm doing this in a roundabout way because this is the way I do things. So Mark is in the thick of it right now. I mean, he's 2 weeks away from the convention starting. So he's probably got a million things on his plate. He seemed a little stressed today, not towards me, but to his employees. He was kind of being a little bit of annoying today. I think he's got a little bit of stress on him due to this stuff, just to make sure everything is running smoothly and everything is going good and things are progressing solidly. And, it's one of those things where you're gonna stress about it till it actually happens. And then after it happens, you're like, yeah, we did great. So, so that's why I think they didn't really do a big to-do about Batman Day, which I guess is okay, because basically what's supposed to happen is DC opens up 2 books that you can give away for free. One, this year's was one we've seen before. It was like a kid's Batman book, and then there was the first issue of White Knight. They were going to give that out for free also. And I took my daughter to the comic shop to get the free comics. They also have Batman masks and stuff like that you can get if you want. And I was going to go and say, hey, get the free comic and maybe get a mask or 2. We get in there, and they've got a good amount of people, but I do not see the free comics anywhere. Usually they would put them on a display. When they were at their old building, they would put them like right in front of the cash wrap on a separate table that says grab what you want to. I didn't see any of the comic books. I saw the masks, but I didn't see the comics. So I'm wondering if maybe this year they just said, F it, we're not going to do it. Or maybe last year when they did it, they didn't get a big enough group to come do it. Of course, they were at their old building at that point. So I don't know. I really don't know. But if I was doing a big to-do about it. You know, I would get Batman cosplayers, people dressed up as the different heroes and villains, and you know, put your, you know, they have three televisions up on the wall, and they had one Batman movie showing, the others were showing some other stuff, but have all three showing Batman movies and stuff like that. And, you know, have the free comics and give out the stuff and make it a big party for Batman, you know? And I think it was a missed opportunity. But my point was about the whole comic convention thing is maybe Mark is just under so much strain and stress with the convention. They just said, F Batman Day. I've got too much on my plate right now, because his convention doesn't have a set date. It's anytime in September, whenever the convention center is free. And it's also been as late as like early October as well. So he tends to keep it within the first couple weeks of September. You can't really do the first week of September because that's Labor Day weekend. I mean, you could, I suppose, and that might actually be the best position for it. But it's usually like the weekend of 9/11, or this weekend would have been another good time. And lately, it has been closer to the end of the month, so maybe that's going to be their new thing now. But a little bit disappointed by that. But you know what? I can understand maybe why, or maybe you could have gotten one of the convention, the writers and artists who might not be at Baltimore Comic-Con to come and sign books and draw pictures of Batman and stuff like that, or get any artist that you can get, because Frank Cho, who does artwork, lives in the area. You know, maybe he could have come over and done some Batman drawings, because he draws the covers, the variant covers to Harley Quinn, so he could have done some of those or whatever. Tom King lives in Washington, D.C. He's the writer of Batman. He could have come up maybe to sign stuff, though he did come up for the Baltimore Spring Comic Convention. They have like a mini convention at the airport hotel, and he was the guest there, so maybe he just didn't want to come out and do that again. He's going to be at Baltimore Comic Convention in a couple weeks anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we'll see. Plus, the DC streaming service starts today. Right now, it's still in its infancy. The first new television series, The Titans, is going to show up, I think, October 12th, I think they said. So still got about a month or so before they actually have original programming on there. So they're going to have the Titans book or show. They're going to have the Swamp Thing show. They're going to have the Doom Patrol show. So they've got a couple of new shows going to put on there. It's going to, and I don't really know much about what the streaming service is. I think they're showing some of the videos and the animated movies they have and other stuff as well. But to me, it just seems like another, not useless, but I don't know if I'd really ever use or be that interested in that streaming service, because I don't really use Netflix all that much anyway now. And the only one that I might be thinking about getting might be the Disney one, just because they're going to have the Marvel movies, and which I still have on DVD regardless, and they're going to have all their Disney movies on there streaming wise. So like that again might be one that I probably won't do. But if I had to choose between those two, I would probably pick the Disney one over the DC one. But hey, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I think I know a few people who have gotten it, and they say, hey, it's not bad. So we'll see. They've still got Growing Pains and stuff like that. Jamie Lee Curtis admits that the Halloween theme is her ringtone. So you gotta love Jamie Lee Curtis. She is famous for playing Laurie Strode on Halloween, and the fact that she announced that her Halloween theme has been her ringtone on her phone is just kind of all kinds of cool and awesome. The first of many animal revenge stories. A stoned New Zealand man broke into, I guess, the New Zealand Zoo's monkey house. And the monkeys weren't going to take that stuff, so they beat the living crap out of him. So good on you, monkeys, protecting your territory. Hopefully you weren't thinking about doing much worse to the animals. The last 2 weeks I've had stories about that. And Scott, Pat, I've got another story about animal-human relations, which I guess I will get to now. A man, actually that's not it, it's somewhere else. A man who was attempting to have relations with a crocodile alligator, with an alligator, started having, it was a zoo person also, was having relations with the alligator, and the alligator turned the tables on him and ate him, attacked him and ate him. So third week in a row, another story about people having relations with animals. There's something really, really wrong in the world right now, when for 3 weeks I've been telling stories about that. And it's in this case, the tables were turned and he lost his life because he just went after the wrong animal. You know, I have nothing else to add to that. Another animal revenge story. A girl, and the monkeys again. Girl was taunting a monkey with food. So it was like one of those things where I guess the monkey either was in the wild, or one of those things where you can actually, you know, touch and feel monkeys. I guess it was the wild, I think. So she was, you know, taunting him with food. Like, hey, you want some food? You want some food? Ah, no, you don't get any food. Hey, you want some food? You want some? Ah, no, you can't get any. Well, the monkey said, you know what? I don't like that. And went pop, smacked her in the face. So monkeys for the win again. I think that's all the animal. Is that all the animal revenge stories I have this week? I think so. Aliens, UFOs, Black Panther, British couple, October 16th, conspiracies. Oh, this is another one. This isn't really a revenge story, but it's a funny story. And there's actual videotape of this, and it's not doctored. It's a closed circuit TV down in Washington D.C. actually. So there's a closed caption camera, I guess, in the hotel or the apartment complex to make sure, you know, nothing illegal is going on and the people are paying attention. So there was this camera that was focused on like the entranceway to the basement or something like that. And there's a fire alarm thing, you know, one of the pull down fire alarm things. Well, this video, closed caption video, caught a rat. Now, first of all, it's kind of disturbing that a rat is in a apartment complex anyway. It is the basement. It is Washington, D.C. But you know what? Regardless, it got up onto this railing, walked over the railing, and it pulled the fire alarm. Now, it's not, as I said, it's not a fake photo. It's not. Yes, thank you, Patrick. Look, seriously, don't try to touch animals inappropriately. The more you know. Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick. That's exactly what, you know, I've been trying to say also. Because they're going to do stuff like this. They're going to punch you in the face, or they're going to eat you, or they're going to pull fire alarms just like this rat did. So that's kind of cool that the rat ends up pulling that down. Stuff like that. I have something written weird down here. It looks like Mom Sweat. I have no idea what that is. Alrighty then, let's move on to the next one. Hey, here's some Pokemon Go news. We've been doing Pokemon Go lately. My wife, as you know, my wife and I are huge fans of it. My wife actually is a bigger fan than I am, and she's actually outside right now walking around our neighborhood to hatch her 7K eggs, because we're doing something right now called the Ultra Rewards. We did stuff all summer, and so Niantic, who's the creator of the game, decided to give us an Ultra Reward. So they're going to release all the 3 legendary birds in raids this week. And then next week until mid-October, Mewtwo, who has only been able to be gotten through EX raids, is now going to be available for anybody to raid and go and get via the raid. And another ultra bonus they have is the Kanto region Pokemon, which is the Gen 1 ones, are spawning like crazy out here. And there's some that I haven't seen in the wild forever, catch them as well. But the thing that got everybody excited, and then Niantic decided to say, no, not so fast, is there's one of the things that you have to do for Pokemon Go is you have to walk to hatch eggs. And the eggs have special Pokemon in it that you might not be able to find in the wild as often, or it's a way to get extra bonus candies and stuff like that. But in order to hatch the eggs, you have to walk either 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, or 10 kilometers. And then they added a 7-kilometer one recently with the advent of trading and friends. And they have what we call the Alolan Pokemon in it, which is from Gen 9, or not, sorry, Gen 9, Gen 8. I'm sorry, Gen 7, excuse me, Gen 7. And it's only the Alolan versions of Gen 1 characters, so it's not the whole Gen 7s. So for this Ultra thing, they say, hey, you know what else is going to be available in 7K eggs? It's going to be regionals, because there are certain ones that you can only get in specific regions of the world. Mr. Mime, you can only go over in, just bear with me, Patrick, I'll be done soon. Mr. Mime, you can only get in Europe. There's Farfetch, which is a duck you can only get over in the Asian countries. There's Kangaskhan, which is like a kangaroo type of thing you can only get in Australia and stuff like that. And then up in Americas, you get Tauros, which is a bull. So you're going to have these being hatched from 7K eggs now. But when they originally announced it, we were under the impression that that was all that was going to be in the 7K eggs. So people hoarded their 7K eggs. They got egg incubators, and they're going excited and crazy and trying to do that. But then we discovered, not so fast. You're still going to have the Alolans in it. They're going to pop up a little bit more randomly, the regionals. And we're also going to add 2 more regular ones that are going to have evolutions in Gen 4, which is coming up later this year. So we're like, okay, wonderful. So that was kind of a disappointment there. All right, I'm done, Patrick. Come back. I'm going to get into comics now. Ben Grimm, The Thing from Fantastic Four, and Alicia Masters, his blind sculptress girlfriend, are going to be tying the knot in Fantastic Four #5, which will be coming out in December. That was announced today. So another couple getting married. We'll see if they actually go through with it, because Batman and Catwoman didn't. Colossus and Kitty Pryde didn't, but Rogue and Gambit did. So we'll see. This is more of a superhero and human, sort of similar to a Mary Jane and Peter Parker, who coincidentally enough are back together in a relationship, but they're not married yet. So make with that what you will. The Sabrina, what's the name of it? It's the new Sabrina show. Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. Everybody remembers her, Melissa Joan Hart from the 1990s. Part of the ABC Friday night TGIF lineup. I used to love that show. It was great, 30-minute, family-oriented show. But then, and I've talked about this before on my comic book shows and stuff like that, the people who run Archie decide they wanted to change up their comics a little bit. So they're doing different variations of Archie. So you got the Riverdale TV show, which is more like a Twin Peaks, supernatural sort of creepy crime drama TV show with the Riverdale characters. You have, in the comics, you have a whole horror world, including the Afterlife with Archie, which is zombie apocalypse happens in Riverdale, and Archie and his gang have to take them on. And then there's Vampironica, where Veronica becomes a vampire. And then there's where Jughead is a werewolf. That's another comic as well. And then Sabrina, which is part of the Archie world, she was turned into kind of more of a supernatural type of scary witch type of story. And Cthulhu's involved in that a little bit as well. So that was like the chilling adventures of Sabrina. Netflix saw that and said, hey, you know what? Riverdale's a big hit with its dark and creepy storylines. Let's do a dark and creepy, another Archie one, and make it Sabrina and make it dark and creepy. Now, the teaser for the new Sabrina TV show just was released this week. It's got all kinds of creepiness in it, so you get an idea of what the series is going to be about. And obviously, perfect timing for it. October 26th is when it's going to be coming out, all episodes on Netflix. So next month, October 26th, check it out. I think I might actually check it out. It looks pretty interesting, so go for that. Speaking of trailers, Captain Marvel will finally be getting her first trailer on Tuesday. So we'll be able to see the first trailer for the new Marvel movie coming out next year. That's going to lead into Avengers 4 and is going to introduce the world to Captain Marvel, who, if you saw Avengers Infinity War, at the very last scene, the end credit sequence, that's who Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury called for help. So you're finally going to get an idea of what Captain Marvel is and what her movie is going to be about before her appearance in Avengers 4 later in next year as well. Captain Marvel is going to be out in March, I think. March or April. March. And we've seen some behind-the-scenes pictures, and they look good. Her costume looks perfect. She looks perfect for the role. So now we're going to start seeing the trailer. And I'm excited. I can't wait. Should be a blast. Man gets prison time for drunkenly shooting at non-existent clowns. Now, we all know people have fears of clowns. I get it. You know, I get your fear of clowns. People have fears of clowns, stuff like that. And so this guy who was drunk started seeing clowns everywhere, pulled out his pistol, said, "You're not going to take me, clown." Now he's in jail for just shooting randomly when he thought he saw drunken clowns. So in the end, maybe he saw Pennywise, and Pennywise just messing with his head. The last Blockbuster video store is going to be enshrined and immortalized in a craft beer. So huzzah. Blockbuster was always a big thing. Growing up, you know, Friday night you go get a video or two, watch them over the weekend and return them. It was great. Feel-good story of the day. Homecoming Queen kicks game-winning field goal in overtime in a high school football game. So the high school football team has a female kicker. She was picked as homecoming queen. And on homecoming game, boom. It might not be homecoming. She might have been homecoming. Regardless, the homecoming queen kicked a field goal in overtime in a high school football game. Feel-good story of the day. I thought I heard something. File this under irony. Author, a romance book author, who wrote a book called How to Murder Your Husband, has been charged with murdering her husband. Just a fun, interesting, ironic story. I guess kind of hard to profess your innocence when you actually literally wrote the book on how to kill a husband and then your husband shows up dead. So some Fortnite talk. I bet you love that, Patrick. Patrick says, "I promise it wasn't me shooting the clown." I'm glad. Fortnite, I don't play Fortnite, but lately, again, it's one of these things where the last 2 weeks, there's been Fortnite stories that I've found pretty interesting that I've talked about. Well, here's two. One, with the hurricane, talked about the hurricane earlier. The hurricane is headed for Fortnite's headquarters. So fans are afraid that the hurricane is going to knock the server out of whack or damage their game in some form or another. I mean, I understand. I mean, if you're obsessed with the game and you know, hopefully you'd be worried about the people who are actually work there. But I get it. You know, you're afraid that, you know, you spent all this time and money on Fortnite, and if a hurricane comes and destroys the server, and guess what? It's going to wipe out the game. You're going to have to start over fresh again. It's just the way it is, you know. Is it going to happen? There's no guarantee it's going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't, because I don't want anything to happen to anybody in my Hurricane Alley guys and gals. But that's kind of interesting. Also, Fortnite has also been cited in more than 200 divorce cases. So I guess, you know, maybe couples who might maybe not necessarily have children are getting divorced because the husband is spending too much time. Scott Trauma said, funny enough, I did think of you, Patrick, when he first said that about the shooting the clowns. But I guess it's one of those things where, you know, your husband pays too much attention to this stupid Fortnite game and not enough to you. And that's kind of dumb also. I mean, if you're going to spend all your time in a video game and ignore your wife and possibly kids, that's just bad parenting and husbanding, man. You got to be there for your family, you know? But you know what? I wouldn't expect any different if the roles were reversed and the woman, the wife, was going off Fortnite and ignoring the husband. I wouldn't be shocked that happened either. But in the end, marriage is about working through problems, spending time together, doing things together, and getting through the rough patches and enjoying the fun times. I've been married almost 15 years. October 4th will be 15 years. And the reason why it's successful is because, we are evenly matched, and we, make sure that we, actually, speaking of which, my wife just got back from her walk. Hopefully she hatched some good stuff. We get along just fine and perfect. And we have our issues with each other, yes, but we don't let them, break us up. That's what I think marriage is all about. What should I save? Because we're getting close to the first hour here. What should I save for next one? We'll talk. I'll drop a few more here, and then we'll set up 5th anniversary. Wedding party has puppies instead of bouquets. I guess I don't know if the puppies are to keep. They might just be, hey, can we rent them from the animal rescue center, and then we'll give them back to you? Or, hey, we like these dogs. Why don't we adopt them? Maybe that'll be good as well. No, I'll talk about that next episode. Designing Women sequel is finding its way onto ABC, so we're going to get a new Designing Women series. I guess that's one of those shows that you kind of want to see again. Like, I'm excited to see Murphy Brown coming back later this month. Designing Women I never really got into, but I guess if you want a nice TV show with some strong female characters in it for a new generation, knock yourself out. Go for it. Not very Bridesmaids of them. I never saw Bridesmaids, so I guess did they do puppies also, I suppose. So that's pretty cool. All right, I'll do that for next week. Next show. Comic-wise, one of my favorite comic book characters, the Martian Manhunter, will be coming back to his own regular series. It's about freaking time, and it's the good Martian Manhunter. There was a bad version of him with a New 52, and before that, which I was not a big fan of, but this new version I really, really enjoy, so I can't wait to see that. Steve Orlando, who I like, is going to be writing it, so I'm excited about that. So good on that. I'll definitely save that later. Definitely save that for next one. Starbucks opens its first store in Italy. So when you go in to order your bentés and so on and so forth, it'll be normal. So maybe they'll make them say, no, I need medium, large, or tall, or small, and not venti, fresco, or whatever the hell they have to order it in those things. I'll save that for next one. 3 new flavors of M&Ms have arrived in time for fall/Halloween. And to be honest, only one of them even sounds reasonably likable to me. Another one, the others might sound good to you. But remember, these are M&Ms, okay? Chocolate, candy shell type of stuff. We've got toffee-flavored M&Ms, which I guess could be pretty good. I've liked the candy corn-flavored ones and s'mores. I think there's a s'mores flavor, and there's some other really good flavored ones. The caramel ones are pretty good. So the toffee-flavored ones might be pretty good as well. That one might not be too bad. What is this obsession with heat? Because I got a heat story for next show. Mexican jalapeno-flavored M&Ms. Really? A chocolate? Okay, look. I take that back. Original chocolate, I guess, back in the old days, Montezuma and all them, when they ate chocolate or wanted hot chocolate, it was with peppers and jalapenos, stuff like that, and it was hot as in flavor hot. So I guess it's a precedent's been set, I guess, but it just does not sound enticing to me. So there's that one. And the last one is coconut M&Ms. I've never been a big fan of coconut. You guys might be. Everybody's out there. So, hey, that might not be too bad for the people who like that as well. Yeah, I got all this stuff. This all can wait. Actually, this one I'll do real quick. And we'll end on this one. Yeah, that one. We'll end on these two. Derek Mears has been picked to play Swamp Thing on the, I talked about the DC streaming service. He's been picked to do that. I guess that's kind of, I don't know who the person is, so I guess it's a good choice, I suppose. October 16th, Ant-Man and the Wasp will be out on DVD, which means it'll be out on digital a few weeks before that. A great movie. I highly recommend it. I got to get MJ on here so we do a review of it. It's well worth it. Let's see. What the hell is this? Oh, okay. I know that's. I'll save that for next. And finally, this one will end on a happy note before we go to my 5-year anniversary episode. The New York City subway station that was buried after 9/11, since 9/11 was earlier this week, reopened 17 years later. So, which is good. I mean, 17 years ago is when we had the awful events of 9/11, and we've slowly been able to get back our life from that. This is just another good step in that direction, that subway station is now open and is running for business and is very good. So again, for those who don't know my 2-episode rules, that's the end of the first episode. So that's the end of 259. 260 is coming up in about a minute. I'm going to change real quick because that's what I do. Scott and Pat know about that. And I got a song ready that's going to enter me in. And we're going to talk a little bit about my 5th anniversary. We're going to talk about some stupid people. We're going to talk about some weird sex stuff because I had to get the weird sex stuff in there. I got some in the first hour. Why not get some in this one? We're going to talk about some science, sci-fi channel Halloween stuff. We're going to talk about aliens, lots and lots of alien stories this week. And some conspiracies, some weird things that people are saying are going to be good for you or can help you. And we're going to end with, there is a town in Missouri called Uranus. And they just got a new newspaper. I'm going to tell you all about that when Dylan's episode 260, my 5th anniversary episode, is here in just about a minute. So hang tight. I'll be right back. Give me about a minute. Okay, guys? Almost done. Yes, doing costume change like I'm Cher. Hey, it's my show. 5 years worth of it. We're going to get ourselves a nice rockin' song here. Not this. No. Why do they have to do this to me? No. 87654 seconds. Give me 1 second here. 3, 2, 1. I hate ads on YouTube, but here we go. Five years today, episode 260. This is Shipping Up to Boston from Dropkick Murphys. Dropkick Murphys is a band you probably really only hear around St. Patrick's Day, but they're a rockin' Scottish band or Irish band, whatever you want to call it. I guess it's Irish, I suppose. I love the song. I discovered it. I'd heard it before, and I discovered it this year. What it was called, because I never knew what it was called, and I've put it on all my playlists, so I figured I'd start off like this. So welcome to my number 5th anniversary episode. 5 years starts today, episode 260 of Dylan Knows. Breaking news, Holiday's about to talk about Uranus. Yes, I am. Uranus is going to be talked about today. Weird sex stuff, which is coincidentally similar to Uranus, is going to be talked about today. The reason why I'm wearing this, not only because of the number 5, but there's another reason why I'm wearing this. Hey, look at my new haircut, huh? For those who've been watching, I've been a ragged dog for about 3 or 4 months. I got my new haircut. I'll talk about that as well. Let's see what else we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Saturday morning cartoons. Absolutely. And I put out a question to some people that only 2 people answered, including my buddy MJ Khan. And I'm going to try to use the term creepy porn lawyer today in this episode as well. And we'll talk about the reason why I want to do that. Sci-Fi's Halloween schedule is now set in stone. More hot food that we talked about some at the last episode. An optical illusion shirt, which is going to change your life forever. Is a big booty. Having a big booty, does that do something special to you? Dinosaur mummies. Aliens, lots of alien stories. Conspiracy theories. I'm saving the best for my 5th anniversary episode. The one last hour was okay, but this one's great. We have Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. We have no Superman or Batman anymore. They're gone. British couple creates a designer grandson. How did that come about? More stupid people. Conspiracies, I said. And the aforementioned, we're going to journey to the town of Uranus. This is Dylan Lang's 5th anniversary episode. 5 years I've been doing this show. Let's talk about that real quick. September 15th, 2013 was a Sunday. The way it came about was, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Patrick and Scott know this because they're members of the Snark Alex, but I'm going to spread this to everybody else who hasn't watched my show yet or know much about me. We're members of a group called the Snark Alex, and we all met way before 2013, probably around the 2010 age. So we've been together almost 20 years. No, not 20 years, 10 years. Damn. Maybe even longer. I don't know. But we started hanging out, or not hanging out, but we started, I guess, yeah, you could say hanging out on Twitter, due to Sci-Fi Network showing their bad sci-fi movies every Saturday night. So Saturday night, 9 to 11, hey, it's the weekend. We've just had a lot of fun during the week. The kids are in bed, or if you don't have kids, you just want to sit back, relax. You don't feel like going out and partying. You want to get something to eat, or you want to drink some wine and beer and just veg out. So, eventually we all found each other by watching these awful sci-fi movies on Saturday nights, and Piranacondas and the Sharknadoes and the Sharktopusses and all kinds of other crazy stuff. And we all started, we were all live tweeting it, and we started retweeting each other and then adding each other and conversing with each other. And then we soon became friends, and we started talking outside of the sci-fi universe. We started realizing we had more in common with each other with TV shows, books, movies, stuff like that. And we have all these discussions. And then we decided we kind of wanted to meet. So we started the Snark Stock stuff, which I got news on that as well. It wasn't worth your time. It was worth your time because, hey, it was a great show. But this one is the big one. This is the big enchilada. This is episode 260. This is my 5th year anniversary. Last one was 4 years and 364 days. So it's now we're on 5 years. Bam, right there. So we all sort of had a similar likes and dislikes, and so Tony came with the idea to create Snark Alec Radio using the format that I'm using right now. And he got Kelly Toole and Mel to come out, and the 3 of them would, every week on Thursday nights, would talk about the sci-fi movie or whatever's on their mind, Walking Dead, zombies, whatever. And it was a lot of fun, and they had a lot of fun, and they were also able to get cast members from these sci-fi movies to come on, and we had some famous people on as well. Gerald Webb is a friend of the show. I heard we should boycott. Isn't that the new trend? Please don't. Please don't. I apologize, gentlemen. I love you guys. And then they would bring in special guests. I was a frequent person on the Snark Alec Radio. Mike Belinsky, Pagan Mike, was as well, and he soon became a member of the core group. My wife Dawn was on a number of episodes as well. And Pat, were you on episode or two of Snark Alec Radio? I knew you were on my show. I just remember if you were on Snark Alec Radio, because they lasted 88 episodes. I'm on 260, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm just saying. So along the lines, it was a really good time for Snark Alex, and Snark Alec Radio was pretty good. So Tony came up with the ideas like, why don't we expand our Snark Alec-ness, radio-ness out to the world a little bit more? So he came to me and he said, hey, Dylan, you're on the show frequently. We think you have some good insights, and I think it'd be really cool if you did a show as well, not part of us, we'll still have you on the show, but do your own thing, and we can have you on like a weekend, like Sunday or something like that. I didn't want to do Saturday nights because we were doing the sci-fi movies, but I could do Sundays, and we would have Snark Alec Radio on Thursday, and I could do Sunday. And then Kelly and Mel did their show where they do recommendations, and then Kelly and Mike did their show as well. So we've had all these shows pop up. Young Jeans did her show for a little bit. So we've had all these shows pop up that was sort of under the branch of Snark Alec Radio. Then they decided they were going to shutter Snark Alec Radio, but everybody did their own little stuff. My show kept continuing, and I lost somebody. So Scott, are you boycotting me, or Pat boycotting me? I apologize. You guys are my good group, and I do appreciate you hanging out with me. So Tony came to me and said, hey, you want to do your own show? I was like, sure, why not? So I said, I'll do it Sunday afternoon, or like at 12:30. So 12:30 to 1:30, I would do my show because I'm a football fan. Baltimore Ravens are my team. I figured during football season, I would still do 12:30 to 1:30, but I only miss about a half hour of the game. And then I'd be able to watch the rest of the game on Sunday. And then once football season ended, then it wouldn't have been a big deal. So I came up with the process, the idea. Pat's back on though. He could have flipped over to something else, which is cool. So we came in and I did this show, and my idea, and I talked to Tony about this. I said to him, this is the idea I have. I want to call it Dylan Knows. And every week I want to have a different guest on, and we're going to talk about a different thing. Yes, I was on 2 episodes of Snark Alec Radio. Okay, good. And several episodes. I knew you were on my show. I just wasn't sure if you were on Snark Alec Radio. And again, we're going to have to get all you guys back on here again. Pat, I kind of want to get you on my Oscar show next year. So why don't we kind of pencil that in? That's not till March, I guess. So I want to get you on there. We'll see if we can, because we've been trying to get on with that, and we'll try to do that real quick again this time. And Scott, I know you've got a weird schedule, so we'll see if you ever want to come on. You're absolutely welcome to. Anyway, so my main idea was like, okay, this is what I want to do, Tony. Okay, every weekend, every Sunday, I want to do something different, and I want to have a guest host with me who is along for the ride. So I came up with the idea of I want to do a comic book show. Originally, I was going to do it with Murtalata, but his schedule got a little out of whack, so I found MJ Khan. And I did have Murtalata on for 1 episode, and then he really couldn't do it anymore. So MJ sort of jumped in and became my comic book guy. So he was going to be for 1 week. Jerry Fletcher and I, we're going to do a list show. So every week we do a list, top 10 list, top 5 list, top 30 list, whatever. And we were going to do that. And then the 3rd week was going to be my paranormal show with Larissa. And we were talking about paranormal stuff. And then my 4th week, my original idea for my 4th week was I was going to have Dawn do a show with her sister, because when you get the 2 of them together, it is pure insanity. Their show lasted about 3 episodes only because they just really couldn't think of stuff to do, and it wasn't quite as exactly what they want to do. So I came up with Dylan Knows International with Bronwyn. So then, things would vary in there. Sometimes people couldn't do certain things, or I'd have to change stuff. We do special ones, like we would do like the comic show. We would do a comic show, but then we do like a show about Batman or a show about Green Lantern, or I do my Oscar show, or we would have other guests on for the international show, and Bronwyn and I we just have like a sort of round table. And then Larissa sort of her time was getting hard for her to do Sundays, and plus, paranormal, you can only talk about so much over and over again. It's a very limited amount of stuff. So we decided we'll part ways. So she's been on about 15 to 20 episodes of Dylan Knows, particularly in the early first couple years she was on there. And then that became my solo show, which I kind of do now all the time, which is me by myself, just talking about the week stuff. Now, Bronwyn's stuff came because she was always having trouble also. She has a whole other life. How dare her have another whole other life? And so her Sundays were becoming tight as well. And I was stuck on this Sunday because Saturdays we still had the sci-fi movie and stuff like that. But eventually I worked out where, well, I can do Saturday nights if you need to, because Sci-Fi wasn't doing the Saturday night movies as much anymore. I could do Friday if need be. I could do Sunday night, depending on whatever the show's about. So eventually the show has been, through the 5 years, we've had all kinds of weird stuff happening. And I've tried to come up with other types of theme shows, and just it doesn't work out. And the one I always come back to is what I'm doing right now, where I just take a look at the world for a week and just give you my discussions about it. Now, that's, I guess, what every YouTube show is about, but you know what? I like doing it. Does that mean we've seen the end of the other shows? No, it doesn't. The reason why Jerry hasn't been on is because her house is literally getting rebuilt from the inside out. She's renovating her entire house, and it's not quite done yet. She's still got a few more weeks to go before she's done. So at the earliest, we might not get back to list shows maybe till late October, if she's even available to do them. MJ and I, our schedules just seem to be, shifting here and there. He obviously couldn't do this weekend just in case something happened with the tornado, because he's in the path as well. So, and also it's kind of good for me to do it by myself, because I can do it whenever I can do it, and, but as I said, I'd be glad to do it for anybody else. And I want to get more people involved, and I want to do more back and forth with other people, but sometimes it's really hard to work that out. Now, and that's my 5-year story. So on top of that, and I mentioned this earlier, and this is going to be interest to Snark Alex out there who might not have heard or seen. Snark Stock has been canceled for this year, just because, again, life happens, and Dawn and I, who were planning it, things just came at us. We had to redo our air conditioning unit. My van had to go through some major surgery, and then a lot of the people who said they could come had started dropping out due to other reasons, financial stuff like that. So I said, you know what? What I want to do is and plus we only had about 10 people who were interested in it. I want to get like 20 plus people to come up to one of these events and just have the best time of their life, and I want to make sure it runs smoothly. Gettysburg's only 45 minutes from my house, and I haven't had a chance to actually go up there. So my plan is to hit the same time next year, mid-October, going to Gettysburg. But this time, I'm going to definitely get myself on the straight and narrow. I'm going to get started as early as January. I'm going to get up there. I'm going to get the schedule down, get my ideas down, and I'm going to go up to Gettysburg physically, and I'm going to walk the trail, and I'm going to see, okay, what's going to be the best option that will make it easily accessible to everybody, to do everything the way, like where would the best central hotel be, where I can get a bank of rooms for everybody, so you don't have to make your own reservations. We can all be in the same hotel, or what the jobs we can do and work out. We're going to keep the same general idea we had planned, but I just need to work it out. And the reason is it's also going to be kind of expensive, so we need to make sure that everybody, we have plenty of people so that the cost gets lowered down. So my plan is to really nail this hard January. As soon as January hits, I'm going to start jumping in there. That gives me 10 months. and 10 wants to talk to you guys to get people to come up here. If you guys want to come up from where you are to come up here, people out west to come over where we are to converge on Gettysburg and see how many people we're going to get, and I can find out, the best walking, what's the best way to do everything, because Gettysburg is a pretty easy town to circumnavigate. So that might not be actually the best word. It might just be straight up navigate, but you know what I'm saying. So we'll talk about that. So Snark Stock is officially done for this year, but next year we'll come back stronger than ever. I guarantee it. So if you guys are interested, it'll be sometime in mid-October, and we're going to do all kinds of fun stuff. And as I said, I'm going to try to get a bank of hotel rooms in the same hotel so we're all together and not spread out all over, But that's planning. That's not going to happen till January-ish. So once the new year sets, this year will be over. Everything can reset for me, and we'll be good. So let's talk about some of this cool stuff, and then the main story we'll talk a little bit about this week is the cartoons. So let's jump back into this episode of Dylan Knows, episode 260. Here we go. Let's start talking about aliens right away. We're not going to talk about Uranus yet, but we're going to talk about aliens because there's a lot of alien stuff that's come out this week. It's kind of interesting, which starts my paranoid self would be like, well, they're starting to do more and more stories about aliens or UFOs and stuff like that, and maybe they're prepping us for something big on the horizon. Well, the one big thing I want to talk about is there was an unexplained security issue that shut down the National Solar Observatory. Now, nothing has been, as far as I know, I haven't seen any stories about anyone else telling us what the situation was, but a unexplained security issue. Is it possible that the Solar Observatory observed something they weren't supposed to and wanted to reveal it, but certain factions are like, no, we're not going to do that. So they shut it down to keep it a secret. You know what? I should probably trim that. I just got my new haircut. I should probably trim that. That's kind of annoying. I'm sorry. I just noticed that. So that's kind of, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that's what some people are saying has happened. But it seems rather odd that they had closed it for an unexplained security reason. Unless it was something worse, like someone had a gun or something like that, but I don't know. So you have that. You have a newfound alien world. This is more of a science thing. This isn't really aliens, but this is kind of an interesting science space-related item, which I'm going to connect with all the alien stuff. A newfound exoplanet, one of the planets that's orbiting the stars outside of our universe, has just been discovered that may bridge the gap between Earth, the Earth-like planets, and the gas giants like Neptune and Uranus. We're still not talking about Uranus yet. This planet's size is unusual. It's too big, possibly, to be an Earth-like world. But it's too small to be a gas giant. So scientists are still trying to figure out what is this, because again, they can't just take a telescope and go, all right, we're looking right at it and a close-up of it. Okay, yeah, I can see land, I see water, I see mountains. No, they can't do that. They use physics and gravity and planetary motion and rotation and star stuff and stuff like that to determine what these exoplanets are made of. Now, I'm still at a loss about how they do this, but I think they're right most of the time. And it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if they're going to be right or wrong. This is just what they've noticed, and they say, well, when it does this, it means this. So this planet has got to be this. And that's how they can determine what the exoplanets are. This one, they have no idea because of the size. So they're trying to run a few things and figure out some stuff. There's some ways they can figure it out. Something about the atmosphere, the way it runs. If it's a specific way, it's a gas giant. If it's a different way, it's going to be a rocky Earth world. So that's kind of cool. Keeping with the space UFO type of stuff, NASA has started the 45-day clock to contact the Mars rover Opportunity. I talked about this last week. They haven't heard from Opportunity since the planet-wide Mars dust storm came and wreaked havoc on it. They are most afraid that something happened to the lander, the rover. They don't know if it got buried, if it got turned over on its side, it got wrecked, they don't know. So they're giving it 45 days. They started the countdown. If they do not hear from Opportunity in any form, even if it's just a single little beep, if they do not hear anything from Opportunity in 45 days, they're more than likely going to scrub the mission and call it a success because it's lasted longer than it's supposed to. But then they've got the depression that we're not going to get any more pictures from Mars about Opportunity, and we've got to move on to the next rovers. So it's kind of a shame. Hopefully, but we have 45 days. Hopefully, they'll be able to hear something within that time frame, and everything will be good. But again, if it isn't, hey, time to focus on new rovers. We got plenty of rovers heading that way over the next 3 to 4 years, so we'll be okay. A UFO hunter claims to have found the remains of a Martian king on Mars. Now, if you go to YouTube, there are a bunch of people who post videos, and NASA's pictures from Opportunity and the rovers and stuff like that are pretty much free reign for anybody to take a look at. And so a lot of these people, they take those pictures and they examine them and examine them and examine them because they swear that they're hiding something. And we've talked about stuff like this before, where they've seen rock formations that they believe are one thing, that or like animals or bones or a spaceship or something like that, but it's just because your eyes, and there's some sort of scientific name for it that Larissa and I talked about a bunch of times on our paranormal show. Which, by the way, I just reminded myself, I wore my Joe Flacco jersey on the first episode of Dylan Knows, so I figured number 5 would be appropriate for my 5-year anniversary. That's why I'm wearing this. But that's what it is. So Larissa and I talked about that. It's something about where you see, it's like when you see the clouds form animals or weird things, and you're like, wow, that looks a lot like a face. Or if you see Jesus in the toast, like you get a toast, you toasted some bread and you're about to eat it, but the way that the dark of some of the bread that was toasted looks like Jesus, how Jesus looks in the pictures and stuff like that. It's something that your mind plays tricks on. It's somehow that it looks at a whole bunch of different objects or paintings or pictures or whatever, and it makes your mind connect it to make it into something, because your mind is like, what is this? And then you're like, wait a second. Oh, it's a person. It looks like a person, that type of thing. So that's a similar thing with this. So a lot of these rock formations that are just rock formations, shadows, different colored rock compositions, mineral compositions, when combined and looked at a certain way, might look like an animal or a robot or some strange, circular object. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't stuff like that on the planet. There very well could be, and that very well could be proof that Mars was inhabited at one time. Pareidolia, yes, thank you, Scott. Yes, Scott Troutman came up with pareidolia. That is the proper term I was trying to find. I always forget what it is. In this case, though, this guy claims to have seen a skeleton of an alien king, and with a crown. And then he took pictures of it and he posted on his YouTube channel. I forget what it's called. And I looked at the pictures, like, okay, I can kind of see where they get the idea. But they also make all these graphics like, this is the crown. You can see the way it's rounded and stuff like that. So it's got it on there. And then there's the face. You can see the eye sockets and the mouth that looked all like a Martian. And this is the bones of it, the rib cage and the arms. And it looks like he's buried this way or whatever. Could it be a skeleton? Absolutely. Could it be a Martian colony? Could have been on the planet? Absolutely. Maybe there is. But also, it could just be the way erosion via the sandstorms, wind, mysterious water that we've been looking for, has eroded these rocks, or just the different composition styles of the rocks are forming these type of things. And your periodolia, thank you, Scott Troutman again, has caused your mind to say that's an alien skeleton, because you want it to be an alien skeleton, because you want there to be aliens on Mars, or at one time life on Mars, because it would make your whole existence seem not as bad anymore, which is fine. If you have a huge belief that you believe Mars was inhabited, do I believe Mars was inhabited at one time? Sure, why not? I've seen a lot of stuff. I've read a lot of the Mars conspiracy theories. I've watched some of these videos. Some of the stuff looks really odd. Some of the stuff looks really interesting, but some of the stuff is like, that's just rocks. So it's hard to tell. And conspiracies are always a hard sell in a lot of cases. Yes, I would like there to be alien life elsewhere on the planets, and it would be huge and amazing, and it would be fantastic, but I just don't know. Do I have another alien story here? Yes, mysterious light flashes have been coming from deep space, and this is actually from space.com, which is like a not NASA type of website. So mysterious light flashes have been coming from deep space. And so I guess NASA or other scientists studying it have told artificial intelligence, take a look at it and see what you find out. And they've discovered more lights out there. So what are causing the lights? That could be anything. Could it be explosions of stars? Could it be comets? Could it be impacts of asteroids? I don't know. Hey, Halidil just found this shirt from one of the Dylan shows I was on with me, you, and Larissa. St. Patty's Day, that's right. That was one of them. That's right. Because we were talking about your Twitter handle, the Chlorothericon. Yeah, that's right. I remember that one. That was a great episode. I like that one. So it could be anything from deep space, but the fact that light flashes have been spotted in deep space and AIs have discovered more, and that it's continuous, there might be something else out there. So again, maybe it's not so crazy that aliens might be out there. Speaking of conspiracies, this is a new conspiracy, and I just posted this the other day because I thought it was so ridiculous. Look, I believe in some conspiracies. In fact, Jerry Fletcher and I did a show during my 5-year run where we did our top 10 conspiracy theories. We need to do a new one with the new conspiracy theories. I think our number one was that we did not believe it, but that the one that everyone talked, well, it was JFK, I think, was number one. The JFK assassination was number one. We talked about that one. We talked about the moon landing being faked. We talked about how 9/11 was an inside job. Now, both of us didn't believe 9/11 was an inside job. Both of us believe we land on the moon. Jerry and I think had sort of a disagreement about JFK. I thought aliens was another one. Was another conspiracy theory we talked about, and I forget what the other ones are, but I'll have to dig up that episode as well. And maybe we'll do another one down the line because there's a lot of conspiracy theories. Well, here's a new one for you, and it's sports ball related. Last week was the first week of football. The Ravens demolished the Buffalo Bills at home, 47-3. It was glorious. It was wonderful. The Ravens had a quick turnaround. They played on Thursday to begin week 2. They lost to the Cincinnati Bengals 34-23. At the end of the first half, they were down 21-0. And so they came, or was it 21-7? I'm sorry, 21-7 at the end of the first quarter, first half. But that was still, it was a horrible first half. And they got better in the second half, but we're 1-1. I'm not worried. We now have 10 days till we face the Denver Broncos next Sunday. Tomorrow will be the rest of the game slate for week 2. The conspiracy theory goes back to week 1. The Sunday night game was the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears in Green Bay. This was a big game because the Chicago Bears just pulled off a trade for Khalil Mack, who's one of the best corners, I believe, in football. And the Packers were welcoming back their best quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who a lot of consider to be the best quarterback in the NFL, even better than not Peyton Manning, a guy from New England, who I despise. I can't think of his name right now. Oh, well, it'll come to me eventually, or one of you guys will give it to me. So Aaron Rodgers has been injured all last season, and this was his first game back, and he looked okay to begin with, but then he got sacked, and he limped off the field and was taken away in a cart because they think that his knee was re-aggravated, which is where the original injury that took him out of the last year. Now, for the longest time, the Packers fans were holding their breath because they were lousy last year without him. And also, all of the NFL was holding their breath without him because he makes the game more interesting. And if you have the Green Bay Packers without Aaron Rodgers, it's not going to be as exciting. So everyone was holding their breath. So the second half, Aaron Rodgers comes back out, throws 21 unanswered points, I think, or gets 21 unanswered points, and they win the game 24-23 over the Chicago Bears, who had been up to that point in the driver's seat. Now, the conspiracy theory is that Aaron Rodgers faked his injury so he could come back in the second half and be a hero. There are people who believe this conspiracy theory. And let me start by cutting a lot of holes in it right now. First of all, how do you know if he came back out in the second half, he was going to throw 3 touchdowns? Unless the Bears were in on it too. How do you know if he would have done that? That's the biggest hole. How do you know? He could have come back, and you know what? He could have been lousy. He could have thrown the ball for 3 interceptions, and the Bears could have scored their 3 more touchdowns. They could have won 44-7 or whatever. But they didn't. And no one knew this was going to happen because football is an unpredictable game. Any given Sunday is the best word to describe the NFL, as shown by the Ravens destroying an inferior team in the Buffalo Bills 48-7, and then 3 days later getting manhandled in the first half by the Cincinnati Bengals, who barely beat the Indianapolis Colts in week 1 and had the Bengals take an early lead, a long lead, which they never gave up. They tried hard in the second half, but the Ravens were absolutely horrendous in the first half. How do you know that was going to happen? How did you know that if Aaron Rodgers decided, I'm going to fake an injury, I'm going to come back in the second half, and I'm going to be the hero? You don't know unless the Bears were involved in it, because you don't know what the Bears are going to throw at you. You don't know if your wide receivers are going to catch the ball. You don't know if your running backs are going to carry the ball, get stopped, fumbled, get hurt, whatever. You don't know anything about the sport until you play it. So there is no way, unless the Bears decided they were going to do that and were in on it, that Aaron Rodgers faked his injury so he could come out in the second half and be a hero, because you don't know that was going to happen. Aaron Rodgers, as I said, could have planned all that, but he doesn't know how his teammates are going to react. Things happen in the game you never expect. And sports ball annoys Patrick Smith also, as does Pokemon. So tell you what, I'll drop this Pokemon story real quick in and we'll get on to other stuff. Pokemon is going to be giving Pikachu a girlfriend. That's my story. Enough of that. Let's talk about big butts, and you cannot lie. Women with big butts are healthier and smarter. That's the new theory out there right now. I like myself a big old butt, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that or not. Because how does having a big butt make you healthier and smarter? I don't know. That's why I'm like, I don't know. James Blum, who is doing the whose production company Blumhouse is reinvigorating the horror genre in movie theaters. His next one is going to be the Halloween sequel with Jamie Lee Curtis in it. He's also discussed possibly that he wouldn't mind, doing his version of the Universal monsters, which might be interesting. I mean, a bit more of a horror edge to it instead of, classic horror type of stuff. It might be an interesting take on it. He's also been trying to get, new Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Streets and stuff like that off of the ground. He now wants to reboot the Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer franchises. Now, I've talked about my disdain for reboots and stuff like that. And, in the end, why do you need to reboot something like the Scream franchise or I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise when they've been so successful so far? And it's not like they're old. They're 20-some years old, and that's it. I mean, they're not even that old, I don't think. So, I don't know. But more power to you, James Blum. You're all over the place. Maybe, you are what the horror industry needs right now. Disney is submitting Black Panther for all award categories, the Academy Awards. Last week I mentioned that they are now not going to be doing the most popular film Academy Award this year. They might move that to the 2020 Academy Awards because next year will be the 2019 Academy Awards. They might move that to 2020. Oh, you guys. So, more power to you. I thought it would be, I think it would be an absolute crime if Black Panther does not win for best set design, best costumes, because they are just, the set design and the costumes are just phenomenal and amazing. And it's a great movie. And on top of that, I'd like to see Michael B. Jordan maybe get a Best Supporting Actor nomination, Chadwick to get a Best Supporting, Best Actor nomination, and get the director a nomination for Best Picture and Best Director and Screenplay. I think it absolutely should get a whole bunch of Academy Award nominations, and it should definitely at least win for costumes and set design. Dude emailed 246 Nicoles looking for one he met at a bar. And now all the Nicoles, I guess, who are all in the same email, I suppose, have all become friends. And there's a picture of all the Nicoles at a bar. So, hey, we have a friend named Nicole. Maybe she was involved in the this type of thing. But all 246 Nicoles are now friends. So they're the Nicole squad, as it were. Let's see. Have I missed anything on this side? Yes. All right. So let me hit some of this stuff. I talked about big butts, and I cannot lie. Here's something else for women. A clever 3D optical illusion T-shirt makes the wearer appear to have big breasts without surgery. It's one of these things where the design on the shirt is so crazy that it looks like this area is bigger than it actually is. And it's a way, I guess, if women who are ashamed of their breasts, I guess, who want to have bigger ones but don't want to pay for it, maybe this might be a way for them to make it have the illusion that they have a bigger breast. They showed a picture of like a before and after, and I can kind of see it, but we'll see. the hot Cheeto Frappuccino. Starbucks has been going crazy with their new drinks. Well, this is a new one with the blazing hot Cheetos crunched up and put on top of some coffee. Again, I don't understand why you want blazing hot Cheetos, potato chips type things on your coffee. I don't know. I talked about last week the sci-fi Halloween movies. We have the dates and times. I don't have them in front of me right now, but every Saturday in October, starting whatever the 5th, the 6th, whatever the first, I can look at the calendar real quick. Whatever the first, so I don't want this. I want calendars. Done. Okay, no, I want, how do I expand it? There we go, October. So starting October 6th. So we're going to have one October 6th, 13th, 20th, 27th. And I think there's going to be like a double on one of those nights too. So that's great. Whoops. I don't want you, Siri.
Okay, then.
Thank you. I said, I don't want you, Siri, and she said, okay, then. Nice. So what do you guys just say? Patrick Scott, you realize Hadil has reached the point that even me and you are the only ones watching live. He's ignoring us now. I am not ignoring you. What are you talking about? You're going back and forth discussing you don't like more reboots and your pictures and all that stuff. That's pretty cool. I would never ignore you guys. You're my guys. That's the one. It doesn't go with coffee. So you're my guys. Thank you for watching as always. Okay. So so the sci-fi Halloween movies are set. So hey, that's more Halloween movies for all of us, right, guys? To hang out and chit chat about. And I read the descriptions last week; they were pretty good, pretty interesting looking. So starting in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to do it every Saturday night. I like it. Done. Let's see. You can order your Christmas tree through Amazon now. I mean, I guess it makes sense. You can order anything else from Amazon, so why not a Christmas tree? And this is talking about live Christmas trees. You can order a live Christmas tree over Amazon and get it delivered to your house. The dinosaur mummy. A dinosaur mummy was discovered with the skin and guts intact. Hopefully they're making sure that it's not fake. But if it isn't fake, it is quite a huge find for the world of paleontology. Should we talk about stupid people? So we got a couple of stupid people things. Yes, we do. So I've been talking about stupid people the last couple of weeks also. Here's another one for you. Dude sniffs chloroform to see if in fact it really knocks you out. And he videotaped himself doing it. And he's like, oh, wow, this is great. And then it didn't knock me out. And he's like, and he collapses. So yes, chloroform will knock you out. Just a warning. And just the fact that you had to feel like you had to sniff it to test it. Hey. The other stupid thing this week is a house under construction suddenly collapsed. It's kind of a disaster. But if you saw how these people were building the house, I honestly don't think that people build houses from the top down. I think you need to have a steady base, sturdy base. You start building from the bottom up because you can support the house that you've already built. When you're building the rest of it, it will not collapse because you're being supported by the stuff you've already built. They were building the top down, and all they had down here were some little sticks of planks and stuff like that that obviously were going to break because they were morons. So Let's sigh. Here's something interesting. A transfusion of young blood can end sickness in old age. So if you're an old person and you get a transfusion of like a 16-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old's blood, it'll help cure your sickness. I mean, not if you have cancer or anything like that, but if you're sick, it'll make you more healthy. I guess there's a story in there somewhere. That's what I guess Elizabeth Bathory did to try to make herself look younger. She bathed in the blood of virgins, but I don't know. British couple creates a designer grandson after using sperm found in their son's dead body. Now, I guess the son looks like he might have died young and never got them a grandchild, so I guess they were able to extract sperm. Mama just said chloroform will knock you out. That's awesome, Patrick. And yes, Dracula has known for centuries that young blood will help keep you alive and young and healthy. So they took the sperm out of their dead son and I guess somehow got an egg involved or whatever and did one of those, like, I guess, test tube baby type things and created as they called it in the headline, a designer grandson. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. I guess it's not great because you're using a dead body and they have no say in maybe they didn't want their sperm to be taken from them when they died and created and turned into a grandson, or maybe they didn't want to create a baby knowing that his parents who were old were going to die, like his grandparents were going to die soon. He would be too young, have to go through orphan. I don't know. I don't know how I should feel about this. I betting it's not good, but is it a way maybe to help you cope with loss if you can create something from your dead child's body? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I should think about that. Let's talk about some strange sex stuff. Well, just one thing, really. Talked about the guy who wanted to live like a Dalmatian last week. This week, we have a woman who likes to live as a toddler and have her boyfriend be her daddy. And they show pictures of her going down like a kid slide and sucking her thumb and wearing baby type clothes that fit her, I guess, and stuffed animals, and be talking weird and acting like a toddler. And the dad is and her boyfriend is her daddy. That's just all kinds of weird sexual stuff right there. That just boggles our mind. So who knows? All right, two more little bits and pieces, then we'll hit some other stuff. So we're going to go a little bit over 2 hours today. Thank you guys for chilling in there. I'm glad you guys are okay in Hurricane Alley right now. It seemed to have not lost any power, which is good. Big news out of DC. Henry Cavill, who plays Superman in 3 movies. Yes, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League, has been kicked out as Superman, and Ben Affleck has also quit as Batman. So they've lost their 2 big superhero stars. Right now, though, people want to get recast. John Hamm wants to be recast as Batman. Scott Troutman. I saw a story that's a good companion to that. A guy pretended to be an invalid to get women to come and change his diaper. Oh, that's disgusting. That's awful. So John Hamm wants to become Batman now. He's got the look, but I still think he's a little too old to play Batman now. And Henry Cavill is out as Superman, and the big rumor now is they want Michael B. Jordan to play a black Superman, which is fine. They did one in the comics a while back. I'm all for, I don't care about color blindness. as long as a good story and interesting, and the villain's not a creepy porn lawyer. Haha, I got it in here. I was trying to get creepy porn lawyer written down there, but that was something that was on Fox News the other day, and I thought that was interesting. So we'll see what happens with that. DC is in a state of flux anyway. Maybe MJ and I will discuss it in a few weeks. We'll get to the down nitty gritty with that and get some ideas thrown through there. Finally, before we get to Saturday morning cartoons, we've got the Uranus, the one I've been teasing since last episode. Thanks, Patrick. She's gonna be like, "What the hell?" So I didn't know about this. There is a city by the name of Uranus. Now, there is a planet called Uranus, and everybody makes the jokes because it's Uranus. And it's pronounced basically Uranus, but everyone calls it Uranus. And there's always silly headlines about, Uranus doing this and Uranus doing that. And people chuckle and laugh. Well, there's a town. Dawn replied, I really don't want to know. There's a place in Missouri called Uranus, Missouri. And they've got like the Uranus Chocolate Factory, which is another, oh my God. And you got to think that the people in Uranus, Missouri, get the joke. And so they probably named like their stores and stuff like that on these sort of sick, twisted kind of jokes. Well, the news, they got their brand new newspaper. Their first ever one, called the Uranus Examiner. That's got to be a joke, because you could always do the Uranus Star, you could do the Uranus Sun. You don't even have to use Uranus. You can use the Missouri Times or whatever if you wanted to. But the Uranus Examiner is the name of the new newspaper, and that is like the absolute best name for a newspaper from the city of Uranus, Missouri. So kudos to you guys. All right, real quick, just going to run through this real quick. I got a little bit behind because I had a lot more stories than I thought I was going to. But for those who've watched my show, you all know that I do this week, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, this stuff premiered like that. So I'll hit a few things, and then it just seemed like a whole lot of cartoons came out this week. But 13 years ago, Supernatural premiered. It's still going strong. 33 years ago, The Golden Girls premiered. 41 years ago, the Atari 2600 came out. 25 years ago this week, the X-Files came out. So X-Files is now 25 years old. And 22 years ago, Blue's Clues came out. So when my kids were growing up, we were still watching reruns of that show, and they loved it. My son had a Blue's Clues birthday party, I think, for his second or third birthday party. So it was kind of interesting. And I'm going to get in my Twitter for this, because I asked, I put out there a note about, hey, tell me what your favorite Saturday morning cartoons were. And I'll talk about it on the show. Only 2 people responded, one of which was my co-host for the comic show, MJ Khan. His response was, so many, I'd say it's a tie between Dungeons and Dragons and Jana the Jungle. And then a gentleman, someone with a blue check mark named BJ Mendelson, said Captain N the Game Master, which I guess is based on the Nintendo characters. I kind of remember the cartoon, and if you were big into, whoops, I don't want to do that. If you were big into the video game stuff like that, that would be like a good show for you to watch. So those are good. So thank you, BJ. Thank you, MJ. So MJ and BJ responded to that. What I got, the reason why I brought that up was because all this stuff premiered this week at various times during the last 30 some years. Actually 40 if you talk about this one. And this is the oldest one that really surprised me. But, in retrospect, it really shouldn't, because that means in 1968, right? 68, 78, 98, 2008, 2018. Yep. No, it'll be, I'm sorry, 1969, I should say. It'll be next year. Next year will be this cartoon's 50th anniversary. And when you hear the name, you're going to be like, what? 49 years ago, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You premiered. Scooby-Doo was out before I was born. I did not know that. I thought it was in the 70s it came out. I'm going to have to double check and verify that, but they say it was 49 years ago. That just blew my mind, because I watched Scooby-Doo all the time, and they've had multiple shows, new shows come out. The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo is another one that I liked, and other stuff as well. And then the ones where he teamed up with, celebrities and stuff like that. That was always the Globetrotters and stuff like that. That was a good one also. And 49 years, though, that's just crazy. Wow. Next up, we had Voltron, premiered 34 years ago. That's my wife's favorite cartoon. And I like Voltron, too. I watch that all the time as well. Also 34 years ago, The Muppet Babies came out. That was a cartoon that I watched on Saturday mornings. I like that as well. I don't know why, I just did. I mean, they were in the Muppets Take Manhattan movie, and then they turned it to a cartoon. And the cartoon was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And I'll be the first person. I watched that on Saturday morning cartoons. Pee-wee's Playhouse came out 32 years ago. That was another one I watched on Saturday morning, and led to Pee-wee's Big Adventure also, or Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I think, led to Pee-wee's Playhouse. And it's a unique show, and it's one that, was very well received. And I remember the really bizarre Christmas episode, but still kind of good. 37 years ago, one of my all-time favorites, again, with Saturday morning cartoons, The Smurfs, premiered 37 years ago. Then we get into some more cool stuff that I liked. 35 years ago, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, the cartoon, came out. I love that so much that I bought all the toys, or as many as I could get. And me and my friend Craig would do G.I. Joe all the time, play G.I. Joe all the time. And then we would get our Transformers out, and we'd have G.I. Joe versus Transformers, and it was great. We had a lot of fun. We did a lot of cool stuff. Also 35 years ago was Inspector Gadget, which is another show I watched all the time also. Don Adams doing the voice of Inspector Gadget, Penny Johnson the voice of Penny, it was Frank Welker, I think, did the voice of Dr. Claw, and that was such a great show also. He was totally oblivious. Inspector Gadget was stupid and oblivious, but it was successful thanks to Penny and the dog, so that was good. 33 years ago, Super Mario Brothers, the video game, came out, so that's not really... I just saw that. It's not really a cartoon, but I just happened to see that. I was like, I mentioned it, so I better just do it in there. 31 years ago, Beetlejuice, the cartoon. So that connects to last episode where we talked about the Beetlejuice musical. Well, here we go. We have the Beetlejuice cartoon, which was another really, really good one that I like to watch also. And I think they've released it out on DVD before, and I kind of want to show my daughter because she liked the Beetlejuice one. 28 years ago, Tiny Toon Adventures premiered. That was such a great series as well. Great writing, very pop culture-y, fantastic idea. Loved it. And it spun off a show that came out 25 years ago, The Animaniacs, along with Pinky and the Brain and all that as well. So quite a set of cartoons and stuff that came out this week alone. Some of the top classic cartoons of all time came out this week. And it makes sense because back in the 80s, September was always the beginning of the new television season. So a lot of these shows would show up on syndication in September because everything was new. So all the TV shows were brand new. So, hey, let's reveal some new syndicated animated shows for kids. And also, that was the other thing, too. The Friday night before the season premiere Saturday morning cartoon show, they would do a preview of the Saturday morning cartoons coming out the next day that you were excited to see. That was also really kind of cool also, because you didn't really know what was going to be coming out because there wasn't really a lot of like coverage. We didn't have the internet, and magazines did a little bit, and TV Guide did a little bit, but they're weekly things, so you had an idea what would be coming. But this Friday preview show was always the coolest because it would show you clips from what shows you'd be getting up and watching on Saturday morning and what time they were on. And then sure enough, Saturday morning, I was old enough, I was able to get downstairs and I took over that TV for like 3 hours and I just watched all the channels and watched all the cartoons. So wonderful, wonderful. And maybe that's something that Jerry and I need to do. I was going to do it today, but because I ran out of time, maybe Jerry and I can do top 10 Saturday morning cartoons or cartoons in general that we used to watch as kids. And hey, maybe get you guys involved in that as well. So finally, we are going to hit Check Eye Day, and then we are going to be done my 5-year anniversary show. All right, so what are we going to do here? All right. Check my day. Here we go. So today is September 15th, and there's a lot out today. There's a lot tomorrow also. Wow, there's a lot. Oh, here we go. September 15th was Batman Day, Big Whopper Liar Day, Boys and Girls Club Day for kids, Google.com Day, Greenpeace Day, International Coastal Cleanup Day, International Day of Democracy, International Dot Day, International Eat an Apple Day, International Red Panda Day, Make a Hat Day, National Caregivers Day, National Cheese Toast Day, National Cleanup Day, National Creme de Menthe Day, National Double Cheeseburger Day was today, National Felt Hat Day was today, National Gymnastics Day, National Linguini Day was today, National Online Learning Day, National Tackle Kids Cancer Day, National Thank You Day, Puppy Mill Awareness Day, Responsible Dog Ownership Day, Software Freedom Day is someday. September 15th is someday. Is Thank a Police Officer Day, is World Cleanup Day. That's a lot for the 15th. Friday the 14th, we had Eat a Hoagie Day, National Bakery Day, National Coloring Day, National Cream-Filled Donut Day, National Hug Your Boss Day, National Live Creative Day, or Live Creative Day, excuse me, National Quiet Day, Stand Up to Cancer Day, Exaltation of the Holy Cross. For Scott, not Troutman, but for Scott McDonald, September 13th was Bald is Beautiful Day. Also Fortune Cookie Day, International Chocolate Day, Kids Take Over the Kitchen Day, National Celiac Awareness Day, National Defy Superstition Day, National Peanut Day was September 13th, Positive Thinking Day, Programmers Day, Are You OK Day in Australia, Roll Doll Day, Snack a Pickle Day, Uncle Sam Day. So that's it for through the 13th. Tomorrow, the 16th, we have a lot of stuff also. Wrinkled Raincoat Day, Working Parents Day, Trail of Tears Commemoration Day, Step Family Day is tomorrow, the 16th, National Women's Friendship Day, National Wife Appreciation Day is tomorrow, September 16th. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do for that. National Tattoo Story Day, National Stay Away from Seattle Day is tomorrow. I have friends in Seattle. That's actually kind of funny. National Play-Doh Day, National Neighborhood Day, National Guacamole Day is tomorrow. Go get your guac tomorrow. Get your guac on. National Day of Prayer and Remembrance for the victims of Hurricane Katrina. Hopefully we won't have to have one of those for Hurricane Florence, though, Scott, you did say you heard 11 were dead, so we probably should. National Collect Rocks Day, National Cinnamon Raisin Bread Day, National Back to Church Sunday. September 16th is Mexican Independence Day. Yeehaw. September 16th is Mayflower Day, International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer, and is Anne Bradstreet Day. I'm guessing Mayflower Day is because our English settlers left England on September 16th to get to the New World in time in November. So that's it. That is it. For if you want to learn more about Check Eye Day, they have a website. You can go to Check Eye, as in the letter I, Day, or follow them on Twitter at Check Eye Day. And that's it. 5 years. 260 episodes. We're on this side of 5 years, so now let's start looking ahead to 10 years. If I'm still going to be doing this in 2023, we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to get all you guys on here, particularly you two, Scott and Pat, for coming and watching. That was fantastic. I appreciate you watching the whole show. There was someone who was in there for a little bit, the third viewer. They popped back out. But thank you guys for watching. I'm hoping to get more views of this, as I'll be pushing it more on Twitter this week, because it is my 5th anniversary episode. So, hey, come watch Dylan Knows. Next week, more of the same, unless I can come up with something else. Be safe, everyone down the south, particularly you guys, Scott and Pat. Be safe in that track of the hurricane. Look out for everybody. Be careful. Be safe. Thank you for watching. It's been a crazy 5 years. Doesn't seem like 5 years, but it's been 5 years. And here's to another 5 years. L'chaim. Thanks for watching.